Welcome to Cozy Sleep Haven. Wind down, snuggle up, and let's get cozy. Tonight's episode invites you to join Ella, Havenport's favorite dreamer and devoted lover of all things cozy, as she ventures into the enchanting world of Stardew Valley. We'll explore charming villages, tend to thriving fields, and uncover the valley's hidden magic. Stardew Valley is the perfect escape for anyone who's ever wondered, what if life were simpler? And what color are the mayor's shorts? Here at Cozy Sleep Haven, we celebrate life's most comforting moments, whether it's immersing yourself in a heartwarming story, finding joy in quiet hobbies, or savoring the charm of a starry night. If this feels like your kind of cozy, subscribe and join our growing community. Your support helps us create even more soothing stories for relaxing evenings and restful nights. So get comfortable and let's take a stroll through Stardew Valley together. By the end, you may find yourself dreaming cozily of flower dances and giant pumpkins. The room was quiet, illuminated by the warm golden glow of a single lamp on Ella's desk. Soft shadows stretched along the walls of her cozy studio, where threads of creativity intertwined with the lingering calm of the evening. Ella sat back in her chair, her hands resting gently on her lap as she took a deep breath in. The air carried the faint scent of lavender, grounding her in the moment. She held the breath for a beat, then slowly let it out, releasing the tension of the day. The rhythm of her breathing steadied, and her thoughts began to wander to Stardew Valley, a place that felt like a second home. It wasn't just the charm of the pixelated fields or the melodic soundtrack. It was the way the valley seemed to invite her in, offering its gentle rhythms as a balm for life's noise. Ella closed her eyes for a moment, imagining the soft crunch of gravel underfoot as she stepped onto her farm. As she opened her eyes, her hands instinctively reached for her notebook, resting on the edge of her desk. She flipped it open to a blank page, eager to capture the essence of the valley before it slipped away into the recesses of her mind. She paused, pen poised, as if listening to the world around her. Taking another deep breath, Ella let her thoughts flow naturally. The valley always began the same way, with a train ride through rolling hills and blooming wildflowers, leading to a quaint little station nestled on the outskirts of Pelican Town. She smiled as the memory unfolded in her mind's eye, clear and vivid. It was time to return. The image came into focus. A small, overgrown plot of land with a rundown farmhouse at its center. But it wasn't just a piece of land. It was a canvas, waiting to be filled with life, care, and imagination. Stardew Valley wasn't just a game for Ella. It was a sanctuary, a place where she could dream and create without limits. She stood stretching slightly, then made her way to the small table by the window. The stars outside were just beginning to peek through the deep indigo of the sky, their light soft and serene. Ella lit a candle, its flickering flame adding a touch of warmth to the cool night air. With the notebook still in hand, she returned to her chair and allowed herself to fully sink into the memory of her very first day in the valley. The journey was always the same, yet somehow always different. Stardew Valley was timeless like that, Ella mused. It grew with her, reflecting her seasons of life. Each time she returned, she discovered something new, not just about the valley, but about herself. Settling deeper into her chair, Ella took one last, slow, intentional breath. The world of Stardew Valley stretched before her, waiting to be explored. And as she closed her eyes again, she was there, walking along the familiar path to her farm. The whisper of the wind through the trees and the distant melody of a river, setting the stage for what was to come. Ella's footsteps crunched softly on the dirt path leading to her new farm, the warm afternoon sun filtering through the canopy of tall oak trees. In her mind, she could feel the cool breeze against her skin, carrying the faint scent of wildflowers and earth. The valley was alive with quiet energy, as though the land itself was eager to welcome her. The farm came into view, and Ella stopped for a moment, taking it all in. The old farmhouse stood at the heart of the property, its weathered wood and crooked roof a testament to years gone by. Surrounding it were fields tangled with weeds, scattered stones, and fallen branches. To anyone else, it might have looked like a daunting project, but to Ella, it was brimming with possibility. She wandered through the field, brushing her fingers against the tall grass. The soft rustle of leaves and the occasional chirp of a bird punctuated the silence. She found herself smiling as she crouched to examine a patch of wildflowers that had claimed a corner of the field. Even in its untamed state, the land exuded a kind of quiet beauty, a canvas waiting to be shaped by her hands. Ella imagined herself pulling out her old tools, the wooden handle of the scythe fitting comfortably in her grip. She began to clear the overgrowth in her mind, each swipe revealing patches of rich, dark soil beneath. Her muscles warmed with the effort, and a sense of satisfaction began to settle in. Every stone she moved and every weed she cut away was a step toward something new, something hers. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, painting the horizon with hues of gold and amber, Ella envisioned returning to the farmhouse. Its door creaked softly as she stepped inside, greeted by the smell of aged wood and the faint chill of a room long unoccupied. Dust motes danced in the last rays of sunlight streaming through the windows, and Ella could almost hear the echo of her footsteps on the floorboards. She imagined herself lighting a small lantern on the table and sitting down with a warm mug of tea. The farmhouse was far from perfect. It needed repairs, love, and attention, but it already felt like home. It wasn't just a place to sleep. It was the heart of her new adventure, a sanctuary where she could dream and create. As Ella leaned back in her chair, the stars began to emerge, twinkling softly through the farmhouse windows. The valley outside seemed to hum with life, as though it too was settling in for the night. The first day on the farm was just the beginning. There was so much to do, so much to discover, and Ella couldn't wait to see what the valley had in store for her. The next morning, Ella imagined stepping out of her farmhouse to find the valley bathed in soft golden light. The air was crisp and cool, carrying the promise of a fresh start. In the distance, the small town of Pelican Town beckoned, its cluster of colorful buildings nestled along winding cobblestone streets. Ella took a deep breath, savoring the scent of dew-covered grass and blooming wildflowers, before heading down the path. As she strolled into town, the world around her came to life. The gentle clinking of the blacksmith's hammer echoed from the far side of the square, blending with the faint hum of conversation drifting from the saloon. A cat perched lazily on a stone wall, its tail flicking in time with the faint rustle of leaves in the breeze. Pelican Town was a place that felt frozen in time, its charm undisturbed by the rush of the outside world. Ella passed Pierre's general store, its wooden sign swaying gently above the entrance. She could almost smell the faint aroma of freshly baked bread, wafting through the open door. Inside, she imagined shelves stocked with seeds, supplies, and little jars of local honey, the kind of shop that felt like the heart of the community. Stopping by the central fountain, Ella glanced around the square. It was a place where life seemed to move at its own leisurely pace. Villagers passed by, their faces warm and familiar, each offering a small nod or wave. As she wandered, she found herself drawn to the saloon, the laughter and clinking of glasses spilling out into the evening air. Gus, the kind-hearted owner, stood behind the bar, his apron dusted with flour from the morning's baking. Ella pictured herself sitting at a corner table, sipping on a mug of warm cider as she watched the townsfolk gather. There was Emily, the free-spirited bartender, her bright blue hair catching the light as she chatted with a group of friends. Over by the fireplace, Abigail was lost in thought, her amethyst-colored hair framing her face as she gazed into the flames. Each character in Pelican Town had their quirks and stories, and Ella couldn't help but feel a connection to them. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the cobblestones, Ella imagined walking back toward her farm. The path was lined with fireflies, their tiny lights flickering like stars come to earth. The day had been filled with simple joys and quiet discoveries, a reflection of everything she loved about Stardew Valley. Back at the farmhouse, Ella lit a lantern and sank into her favorite chair by the window. Pelican Town had welcomed her like an old friend, and she knew there were countless more stories waiting to unfold. For now, though, the peaceful hum of the valley was enough. She let her thoughts drift, imagining what tomorrow might bring as the stars outside began to twinkle in the night sky. Ella imagined waking to the subtle shift of light streaming through her farmhouse window, signaling the arrival of a new season. Stardew Valley's rhythm was guided by the seasons, each bringing its unique charm and opportunities. As she stepped outside, the world felt transformed, as if the valley itself had donned a new outfit to celebrate the change. Spring was a symphony of renewal. Ella could see delicate pink blossoms adorning the cherry trees, their petals drifting softly in the breeze like nature's confetti. The air was filled with the earthy scent of freshly tilled soil and the sweet aroma of wildflowers blooming along the paths. She imagined planting her first crops, parsnips, kale, and strawberries, carefully sowing seeds into the fertile earth. Each day she would water them, watching with quiet anticipation as tiny green shoots began to emerge. Summer arrived with its vibrant energy, the sun shining brightly over lush green fields. Ella pictured herself tending to rows of sunflowers that turned their golden faces toward the sky, swaying gently in the warm breeze. The river sparkled under the midday sun, inviting her to cast a line and try her hand at fishing. In the evenings, the soft hum of crickets and the glow of fireflies created an enchanting atmosphere. She imagined attending the luau on the beach, the sound of waves mingling with laughter and music as villagers danced in celebration. Autumn brought a sense of coziness to the valley, painting the landscape in rich shades of amber, crimson, and gold. Ella imagined harvesting pumpkins and cranberries, the crisp air filled with the scent of fallen leaves. She envisioned strolling through the forest, her boots crunching on the leaf-strewn paths, collecting mushrooms and acorns to store for the winter. The highlight of the season was the Stardew Valley Fair, where the square buzzed with excitement. Ella could almost taste the caramel apples and hear the cheers as villagers competed in friendly contests. Winter arrived with a serene stillness, the valley blanketed in soft white snow. Ella imagined the quiet crunch of her boots on the icy path as she made her way to town, her breath visible in the frosty air. The absence of crops brought a slower pace, allowing her to focus on crafting and exploring. She pictured herself building a snowman outside the farmhouse, its scarf flapping in the cold wind, and decorating the town square for the Feast of the Winter Star. Each season in Stardew Valley wasn't just a marker of time, it was an invitation to embrace the beauty of change and the joy of simple living. As Ella reflected on the seasons, she felt a deep connection to the valley's natural rhythm. The passage of time here wasn't something to fear, but something to savor. With each turn of the calendar, the valley offered new moments to cherish, leaving Ella feeling grounded and content in its gentle embrace. Ella imagined herself standing in the middle of her farmstead, boots dusted with soil, hands resting on her hips as she surveyed her progress. It was still a work in progress, but it already felt like a home. The overgrown fields she had first encountered were now dotted with neat rows of crops, each plant thriving under her care. Small fences outlined her plots, their rustic charm adding structure and order to the once wild land. Her mind wandered to the satisfaction of building something with her own hands. The farmhouse had undergone its first renovation, transforming into a cozy haven, complete with a small kitchen and a comfortable bed. Ella could picture herself crafting furniture, handmade tables and chairs made from the wood she'd gathered in the forest. A simple wooden lamp sat on a side table, casting a warm glow over the room during quiet evenings. Outside, Ella imagined the addition of a barn and a coop. The cheerful clucking of chickens and the soft lowing of cows filled the air as she cared for her animals each morning. She could see herself tossing a handful of feed into the coop, where her chickens eagerly pecked at the grains, their feathers gleaming in the sunlight. Over at the barn, her cows waited patiently to be milked, their calm demeanor adding a sense of peace to her daily routine. She imagined planting fruit trees along the edges of the property, their branches heavy with apples, oranges, and cherries during the harvest season. A small path led to a pond at the back of the farm, its surface shimmering under the golden rays of the afternoon sun. Ella could see herself sitting there on a quiet day, fishing rod in hand, the soft plunk of the line breaking the stillness. The farm wasn't just a place of work. It was a reflection of Ella's creativity and care. Every corner of the property held a piece of her personality, from the small garden of wildflowers she tended, just for their beauty, to the neatly stacked hay bales by the barn. She imagined her dog, a loyal companion, bounding through the fields with unrestrained joy, chasing after butterflies. In the evenings, the farm transformed into a place of serenity. Ella imagined stringing up fairy lights along the fences, their soft glow adding magic to the night. Sitting on the porch of her farmhouse, she would sip a warm cup of tea, watching the fireflies dance over the fields. The gentle chirping of crickets and the rustling of the trees became the soundtrack of her quiet moments, reminding her of the peace she had built here. As Ella reflected on her farmstead, she felt a sense of pride and fulfillment. It wasn't perfect, but it was hers, a place that grew and thrived with her effort and care. Stardew Valley had given her a canvas, and she had created a masterpiece of her own, one that would continue to evolve and inspire her with each passing day. Ella's journey led her to the edge of town, where the forest path twisted into a rugged trail. As she followed it, the landscape shifted, the trees thinned, giving way to rocky outcroppings and steep inclines. In the distance, she could see the entrance to the mines, a dark cavern carved into the hillside. It stood like an invitation to adventure, its mysteries waiting to be unearthed. Standing at the threshold, Ella imagined the cool air of the mines brushing against her face, carrying a faint, metallic scent. The entrance was framed by overgrown vines, their tendrils clinging to the ancient stones. It was a place that seemed untouched by time, both foreboding and alluring. Taking a lantern in hand, she stepped into the shadows. The first level of the mines was dimly lit, with scattered patches of glowing moss clinging to the walls. Ella imagined the soft crunch of gravel underfoot as she ventured deeper, her eyes adjusting to the dim light. The cavern was alive with faint sounds, the drip of water echoing in the distance, and the occasional rustle of movement in the dark. With her pickaxe in hand, she struck at the rocks, the sharp clang reverberating through the chamber. Each swing revealed treasures hidden beneath the surface, gleaming veins of copper and iron, shimmering geodes waiting to be cracked open. Ella felt a thrill of discovery with every find, her bag growing heavier with each precious stone and ore she unearthed. The work was meditative, the rhythm of her pickaxe a steady beat that carried her through the labyrinthine tunnels. As she descended deeper into the mines, the atmosphere grew cooler and the challenges more complex. She imagined encountering patches of crystal formations, their translucent edges catching the faint light and casting rainbows onto the cavern walls. In the depths, she discovered remnants of a forgotten civilization, carvings on the walls and broken artifacts that hinted at a story lost to time. The mines weren't without their dangers, though. Ella envisioned small creatures scurrying in the shadows, their glowing eyes peering out from the dark. She imagined herself wielding a sturdy sword, her movements swift and confident as she defended herself. It was a reminder that adventure often came with challenges, but she felt capable and determined. After hours of exploring, Ella pictured herself emerging from the mines, her bag filled with treasures and her spirit buoyed by the experience. The cool night air greeted her, and she looked up to see the stars twinkling brightly overhead. The journey had been both exhilarating and grounding, a balance of effort and reward. Back at her farmhouse, she imagined laying out her discoveries on the wooden table, a collection of shining gems, mysterious relics, and useful resources. As she examined each piece, she felt a deep sense of satisfaction. The mines weren't just a place of work. They were a reminder of the valley's depth and mystery. They held secrets that would take a lifetime to uncover, and Ella felt grateful to be part of their story. Stardew Valley episode, Section 7, Building Friendships in Pelican Town. Ella imagined herself walking back into Pelican Town, the morning sun casting long shadows on the cobblestone streets. The town felt alive with the quiet hum of daily life. She passed by Pierre's general store, where a cluster of villagers gathered to chat over baskets of fresh produce, and the warm smell of freshly baked bread wafted from the saloon. Friendships were the heart of Pelican Town, and Ella felt drawn to the vibrant personalities that made the community so special. As she made her way to the town square, she thought of how each villager had their own routines, quirks, and stories waiting to be shared. These weren't just passing acquaintances. They were potential friendships that grew with care and attention. Ella pictured herself stopping by Haley's house, bringing her a daffodil she had found on her morning walk. Haley's initial aloofness softened as she accepted the flower with a small smile, the gesture opening a window into a deeper connection. Across town, Ella could see Alex practicing his pitching arm by the dog pen, his confident grin hinting at dreams of a sports career. She imagined pausing to cheer him on, their conversation weaving a thread of encouragement and camaraderie. The relationships in Pelican Town weren't limited to the younger crowd. Ella envisioned sitting with Evelyn on a bench near the fountain, her hands clasped around a steaming cup of tea as the older woman shared stories from her youth. Each word was filled with wisdom and nostalgia, the kind of quiet moments that made Ella feel part of something bigger. She imagined crafting thoughtful gifts for each villager, a jar of homemade jam for Leah, a bundle of firewood for Robin during the colder months. These small gestures felt meaningful, creating bonds that transcended the ordinary. The town's calendar was filled with festivals, each one an opportunity to celebrate together. Ella pictured herself dancing under the string lights of the flower dance or participating in the egg hunt with children laughing around her. Ella felt especially drawn to Linus, the gentle soul who lived in a tent near the mountains. She imagined bringing him a warm meal on a chilly evening, sitting by the fire as he shared his thoughts about the beauty of nature and the simplicity of his life. His gratitude was quiet but heartfelt, and it reminded Ella that connection didn't require grand gestures, just kindness and understanding. As the day turned into evening, Ella pictured herself at the saloon, joining a group of villagers for a lively conversation over a hearty meal. The jukebox played softly in the background, and the room was filled with laughter and the clinking of glasses. These moments of shared joy felt like the fabric of the community, weaving everyone together into a tapestry of connection. Walking back to her farm under the stars, Ella reflected on the friendships she was building. They weren't just casual interactions. They were relationships that enriched her days and reminded her of the beauty of shared moments. Pelican Town was more than a place to live. It was a community where she felt truly at home. Ella imagined waking up to the buzz of excitement that filled the valley on festival days. The energy was infectious, and the air carried a festive charm that made everything feel brighter. Festivals were a cornerstone of life in Pelican Town, moments when the community came together to celebrate, share traditions, and create lasting memories. Her first festival of the year was the Egg Festival, held in the town square. Ella pictured herself walking into the lively scene, where villagers bustled around colorful stalls brimming with seasonal treats and handmade goods. Bunting and ribbons adorned every corner, and the scent of freshly baked pastries wafted through the air. Children laughed as they ran from one booth to the next, their excitement contagious. Ella imagined participating in the egg hunt, weaving through the crowd with a playful determination to find the hidden treasures scattered around the square. As the seasons changed, so did the festivals. Ella envisioned the luau on the beach, a celebration of summer's abundance. She imagined herself carrying a freshly cooked dish to contribute to the communal potluck, where flavors from every corner of the valley blended into a feast that brought everyone together. The rhythmic beat of drums echoed across the sand as villagers danced around a roaring bonfire, their laughter mingling with the soothing sound of waves lapping against the shore. Fall brought the Stardew Valley Fair, a vibrant event that transformed the town square into a lively carnival. Ella pictured herself setting up a display booth showcasing her farm's finest produce and artisan goods, the fruits of her labor carefully arranged to impress. The fairground buzzed with activity, game booths offering chances to win prizes, a grinning clown juggling brightly colored balls, and the tempting aroma of caramel apples wafting from a nearby stall. Ella imagined trying her hand at the fishing game, the line taut with anticipation as she aimed to reel in the biggest catch of the day. One of her favorite celebrations was the Spirits' Eve Festival, a mystical evening filled with enchantment and wonder. Ella envisioned herself wandering through the maze set up near the forest's edge, its twisting paths illuminated by flickering jack-o'-lanterns. The air was cool and crisp, carrying the faint scent of bonfires and spiced cider. Villagers dressed in whimsical costumes exchanged stories of spirits and folklore, their voices tinged with awe and laughter. Reaching the maze's end, Ella discovered the golden pumpkin, its soft glow a symbol of the magic that made Stardew Valley so special. Winter's arrival brought the Feast of the Winter Star, a holiday filled with warmth and generosity. Ella imagined gathering in the decorated town square, where twinkling lights and garlands of evergreen created a scene straight out of a storybook. She pictured herself exchanging gifts with her secret recipient, the simple act of giving and receiving filling the air with joy. Carolers sang familiar melodies, their voices harmonizing with the gentle sound of snow falling around them. As Ella reflected on the festivals, she felt a deep sense of gratitude for the moments they created. Each celebration was a reminder of the valley's vibrant community and its ability to find joy in the season's rhythms. The festivals weren't just events. They were experiences that brought the townsfolk closer together and wove the threads of connection that made Pelican Town feel like home. With each festival, Ella's bond with the valley grew stronger, filling her heart with warmth and belonging. Ella imagined stepping into the lush forest that bordered her farm, a place that felt alive with untold mysteries. The forest was a haven of tranquility, its canopy of towering trees filtering dappled sunlight onto the mossy floor below. It was here that Ella often found herself wandering, drawn to its quiet beauty and the promise of discovery. Her boots crunched softly on the leaf-strewn path as she ventured deeper into the woods. The air carried the earthy scent of pine and damp soil, and the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze created a soothing soundtrack to her exploration. Ella imagined gathering wild berries and mushrooms, her basket slowly filling with the forest's seasonal offerings. Each step felt like an invitation to connect with nature's cycles, to marvel at the small wonders it held. The deeper Ella ventured, the more she noticed subtle signs of life hidden within the forest. A rabbit darted across the path, its soft fur blending with the underbrush, while a family of deer grazed in a nearby clearing, their movements graceful and unhurried. Birds flitted between branches, their cheerful songs adding melody to the forest's symphony. Ella imagined stumbling upon a small grove where ancient trees stood like sentinels, their gnarled roots twisting into intricate patterns. It was in this secluded spot that she discovered the Wizard's Tower, a structure that seemed to rise organically from the earth, as though it had grown alongside the forest itself. The tower's weathered stone walls and arched windows gave it an air of mystique, and Ella felt a sense of awe as she approached the heavy wooden door. Inside, she imagined meeting the enigmatic wizard, his long robes shimmering faintly in the dim light. The room was filled with shelves of ancient tomes and vials of colorful liquids, their contents bubbling softly as if alive. The air carried the faint scent of herbs and incense, creating an atmosphere of quiet reverence. Ella listened intently as the wizard shared insights into the valley's magical underpinnings, his words weaving a tapestry of lore and wonder. As she left the tower, Ella's thoughts turned to the hidden treasures of the forest. She imagined discovering a secluded pond, its surface glimmering under the golden light of the setting sun. The quiet splash of a fish breaking the surface added to the serene ambiance, and Ella felt a sense of peace as she cast her line into the water. The forest wasn't just a place of mystery, it was a sanctuary, a reminder of the valley's harmony with the natural world. Returning to her farm under the twilight sky, Ella reflected on the secrets the forest held. It was a place of balance, where the mundane and the magical coexisted seamlessly. Each visit deepened her connection to Stardew Valley, reminding her of the endless possibilities that lay beyond the familiar paths. The forest was a world unto itself, waiting to be explored, and Ella felt grateful to be part of its story. Ella imagined walking through the dilapidated doors of the old community center, its once grand entrance now covered in ivy and weathered by time. The building held a haunting charm, a relic of the town's past filled with echoes of laughter, shared meals, and cherished gatherings. Dust motes floated in the beams of sunlight that filtered through broken windows, illuminating the faded murals on the walls. The community center's main hall was quiet, its wooden floors creaking softly under Ella's steps. She imagined the sensation of running her fingers along the chipped paint of the furniture, each piece a silent witness to the bustling life it once hosted. This place, she realized, wasn't just a building. It was a symbol of Pelican Town's spirit, waiting to be brought back to life. Ella felt a spark of determination as she began her journey to restore the community center. She imagined herself poring over the magical scrolls left by the Junimos, the tiny, otherworldly creatures who made their home within the center's walls. Their language, though foreign, carried a gentle energy, as if they were entrusting her with their hopes for the valley's revival. The restoration tasks were woven into the rhythm of her days. Ella pictured herself scouring the valley for items to contribute to the bundles that would bring the center back to life. She envisioned collecting ripe melons from her summer harvest, fishing for rare specimens in the town's rivers, and venturing into the mines to uncover precious ores. Each item she gathered felt like a puzzle piece, fitting perfectly into the grand picture of the center's renewal. As the bundles were completed, the changes were magical. Ella imagined the Junimos emerging from the shadows, their small, colorful forms bustling with excitement as they worked their magic. Rooms once filled with decay transformed before her eyes. The crafts room became a vibrant hub of creativity, with shelves stocked with supplies and a loom ready for weaving. The pantry overflowed with seasonal produce, its air rich with the scent of fresh fruit and herbs. The grand finale came when the center was fully restored. Ella pictured the entire town gathering for a celebration, their smiles illuminated by the warm glow of lanterns hung around the building's exterior. Music filled the air, blending with the sounds of laughter and conversation. The community center stood as a beacon of unity, its revitalization a testament to what the town could achieve together. Ella reflected on the journey, feeling a deep sense of pride and fulfillment. The community center wasn't just a physical space. It was a reminder of the importance of connection, shared goals, and perseverance. It had become a place where new memories would be made, its walls once again echoing with the heart of Pelican Town. Ella felt grateful to have played a role in its story, knowing that its revival would inspire the community for generations to come. As Ella ventured further into the valley, she became more attuned to the mystical elements woven into the fabric of the land. The valley seemed to hold secrets beyond the ordinary, and Ella imagined how its enchanting mysteries would quietly reveal themselves over time. Her first discovery was the shimmering stardrop fruit, an elusive and magical item that was said to restore energy and spark creativity. Ella envisioned finding her first stardrop after a long day exploring the mines. Its glow seemed almost alive as she held it in her hands, and when she took a bite, the sweet, otherworldly flavor filled her senses. She could feel her connection to the valley deepen, as if the fruit had unlocked a hidden part of her soul. Ella's thoughts often wandered to the forest spirits, the Junimos, who inhabited the valley. She imagined crossing paths with them in the stillness of the night. Their small, colorful forms flitted through the trees, and they seemed to move with purpose, as though they were the valley's quiet guardians. Their presence reminded Ella of the valley's harmony, a balance between nature and magic that had been carefully nurtured for generations. The valley's magical energy was perhaps most evident in the wizard's tower, perched on the edge of the forest. Ella envisioned standing in the tower's circular room, where shelves brimming with ancient tomes and vials of glowing potions surrounded her. The air was thick with the scent of herbs and alchemy, and the wizard's calm, knowing voice carried a sense of wisdom. He shared insights into the valley's history and its magical properties, hinting at powers beyond human understanding. One of the most intriguing places Ella imagined exploring was the hidden door in the desert, leading to the mysterious Skull Cavern. The cavern held treasures, challenges, and secrets buried deep within its labyrinthine passages. She pictured herself venturing into its depths, guided by the soft glow of her lantern, her heart racing with the thrill of discovery. As she reflected on the valley's mystical wonders, Ella felt a profound appreciation for its beauty and complexity. Stardew Valley was more than a collection of farms and towns. It was a place where the mundane and the magical coexisted, each enhancing the other. Ella felt a sense of privilege to be part of this world, where every day held the promise of discovery and connection. Under the stars, Ella imagined sitting by her farm's pond, the gentle chirping of crickets providing a soothing backdrop. The reflection of the night sky shimmered on the water's surface, and Ella felt at peace. The valley's magic wasn't just in its mystical elements, but in the way it brought people together, encouraged exploration, and inspired a deep sense of belonging. It was a place where dreams could take root, and Ella felt grateful to be living hers. As the day wound down, Ella imagined herself back at her farm, the soft hues of twilight painting the landscape in shades of purple and gold. The air carried the faint scent of lavender and fresh earth, mingling with the gentle rustle of leaves in the evening breeze. It was a time of stillness, where the world seemed to pause, offering a chance to reflect on the day's adventures. Ella pictured herself tending to the last of her chores, the glow of lanterns illuminating her way as she moved through the fields. The crops swayed gently, their leaves brushing against each other like a soft melody. She imagined checking on the animals, their contented sounds filling the air as she ensured they were safe and cozy for the night. The clinking of milk pails and the quiet bleats of her goats added a comforting rhythm to the farm's evening symphony. After her work was done, Ella imagined sitting on the porch of her farmhouse, wrapped in a soft blanket with a steaming mug of tea cradled in her hands. The stars began to appear one by one, dotting the darkening sky with their celestial glow. The valley felt peaceful, as though it too was preparing to rest. The warm light from the farmhouse spilled onto the porch, casting a welcoming glow on the worn wooden steps. Ella imagined herself flipping through her journal, where she had recorded the events of the day, the crops she had harvested, the villagers she had visited, the mysteries she had uncovered. Each entry was a reminder of how much she had accomplished and how deeply connected she felt to the valley. Her thoughts wandered to the relationships she had built, the festivals she had celebrated, and the magical discoveries she had made. Stardew Valley wasn't just a place, it was a home, a canvas for dreams and possibilities. Ella felt a profound sense of gratitude for the life she was creating, where each day brought a new story and a new chance to grow. As the night deepened, Ella imagined the comforting sounds of the valley lulling her to sleep, the soft chirping of crickets, the distant hoot of an owl, and the occasional rustle of leaves in the breeze blended into a soothing lullaby. The valley was alive, yet it exuded a stillness that wrapped around her like a warm embrace. Closing her eyes, Ella imagined drifting into a dream where Stardew Valley's magic and beauty continued to unfold. The stars above seemed to wink in approval, as if they too were watching over the valley and all who called it home. With a heart full of peace and contentment, Ella imagined herself settling into a restful sleep, knowing that tomorrow would bring new adventures and new wonders in the valley she had grown to love.